I'd like to welcome you all to the meeting of the Board of Commissioners. I do know that a written and a visual record are being kept. If you have looked at our agenda today, you will find we have established a new Umatilla County record. We have 26 items on the agenda, so this probably marks in part the fact it is the end of the year, but we are going to make every effort we can to get through these items in an expeditious manner. Do we have any awards, recognition?
I have none.
No, we skipped it for the agenda.
Yeah. Well, I would like to point out that last week we did have a very successful barbecue with the Public Works staff. They were there to have a safety training and prepare for chip sealing season, but we had intended to recognize the Public Works staff for their exemplary work during some very, very difficult storms this winter. In the intermediate time while we were setting up that barbecue, they also got a little extra work involved with flooding around the county and road repairs. So we were pleased to be able to acknowledge the Public Works staff kind of works under the radar, and we were happy to be able to honor them. Do you want to add anything to that, Commissioner Schaefer? You're the liaison.
No, I think you hit the high points. No, I thought it was very well received. The staff was, we had a really good time out there with the barbecue and enjoyed getting to know them a little bit better. I thought it was really well, really good.
Good company.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're never embarrassed to eat a lot with that group. So that works well. All right. No minutes from previous meetings. Heaven help us, do we have any additions to the agenda? Okay. Any public input, comment from individuals who are not somewhere on this agenda? All right, we'll move ahead with our business items. The first item takes us into a public hearing mode for bond issuance.
Okay. I believe Mr. White is here representing Common Sport Health. And this is time scheduled for a public hearing consideration for their latest bond issuance.
Would you like me to just address the matter generally?
Yes, but please identify yourself.
Yes, Commissioners, my name is Stephen White. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Orrick, Harrington, and Sutcliffe in Portland, Oregon, and we represent a special counsel, Common Spirit Health, formerly known as Catholic Health Initiatives, and the matter before the Commission today involves both a public hearing and approval of a bond issuance. The bonds are being issued by the Colorado Hospital Facilities Authority, and they're being issued on behalf of a number of projects, including a project here in the county. The bonds are being issued to refund existing debt that's been issued on behalf of the same projects that are listed in the exhibit to the order. The county's approval is applicable to the projects that are here in the county, namely St. Anthony Hospital, and as noted in the, I think is noted in the recitals to the order, that the bonds are payable from, they're not payable from a tax of any nature levied upon any property within the county or any other political subdivision in the state of Oregon. They're payable from the projects themselves. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Is this the first reading, Council?
No, this is the final.
Okay.
It appeared to me that and I searched through the whole thing, the only thing I could see was that it would be refinancing the existing hospital. Is that what this is about?
That's correct. It's refinancing existing bonds that are outstanding as a way of lowering the cost of debt to the project.
Commissioner Schaefer?
I'm good.
Any other public comment related? This is a hearing. Any public comment related to this matter? If not, I'll close the hearing.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for coming. Item number 2, presentations by the Soil and Water Conservation District and the Walla Walla Basin Watershed Council. And we appreciate your sharing copies of your reports in advance.
All right, so Kyle Wagner from Umatilla County SWCD. Thanks for taking the time this morning. I'll try to be brief. Put together a short presentation and just briefly going over who we are, what we do, for those that are unaware. Our basic mission is to conserve, protect, develop soil, water, and other natural resources for the economic and environmental benefit of the residents of the Umatilla County. And we do that in 3 ways. And those 3 ways are through outreach and education, project planning, implementation, and collaboration. And so in that first category, we have the Watershed Field Day program, which is 5th grade outreach. We serve about 800 to 1,000 5th graders in Umatilla County every year. It's kind of job fair and outdoor school wrapped into one. We do multiple presentations, trainings, and also some event information booths. For project planning implementation, we're 100% grant funded. So any work that we accomplish is through a grant. So there's the Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board is our primary granting agency that we apply for. We also have an agreement with NRCS, the USDA, to do the CREP program. And then, of course, the Oregon Department of Agriculture, we assist with their water quality program. And in that final category of collaboration, we work to perform assessments, build monitoring systems, look at joint regional issues, and tackle natural resource issues regionally. So in this fiscal year, we had about 600 5th graders for Watershed Field Days. We had just had a presentation at Farm Fair. During the flooding, we're continuing to work on connecting and presenting landowners with a presentation to connect them to the regulatory authorities of the Department of State Lands and Army Corps of Engineers. And then we've also started to get involved with BMCC in their Ag Careers program. This included a couple pictures of our Watershed Field Day program. In that next category, project planning implementation. For funded projects this year, we worked on a total of 30 projects, which is about triple what we've worked on last year, and last year we tripled what we'd worked on the year before. So we're constantly growing and expanding, which is excellent. On those 30, we only submitted 6 this year. A lot of them are going to be submitted in this next fiscal year. And of those 6, we had 3 funded. So at a 50% fund rate, that total secured dollar rate was around $300,000. And as you can see, we have a ton of different projects going on. You can see a lot of them for flooding, especially in the Mackay Creek area. We've been trying to play a large part in replacing fence and irrigation equipment that got lost during the flood through our grants. And just included a couple pictures of our standard projects, a lot of livestock water developments up in the mountains.
Kyle, do you have a card that you can leave with Melinda? Because I may be wanting to get in touch with you for the Mackay Creek stuff.
Yes, sir. I'll leave that.
Thank you.
And then, as I mentioned, we have the agreement with the U.S. Department of Agriculture for the CREP program, which is a riparian habitat enhancement. And so, as you may know, the Farm Bill changed some things and shut down that program for about 6 months of this fiscal year. But in spite of that, we got 3 completed projects and 6 re-enrollments, and there's 21 more projects that are being currently worked on now that it's back open. Just an example of an area where we put in that program. As I mentioned, the focus areas with Oregon Department of Agriculture, that's their water quality program. We currently are finishing out Spring Hollow, the Spring Hollow watershed. That will be finished most likely this fall, and then we're just starting our focus area in Cows Creek. So the bottom line is 25% of my time goes to doing projects and work in those watersheds. And then last but not least, the strategic implementation area, that's also through the Oregon Department of Ag, and that is on Lower Birch, Mackay, and Stewart Creek. And that project is a monitoring project for 10 years to get a baseline of what's out there, and then we're performing primarily livestock enhancement projects. And that worked really well because I was able to match funding for that for when the flooding occurred. And I just threw up a couple quick things with the flooding. We primarily act as an information hub to connect landowners when everything went down. Out on site constantly. I corresponded with Department of State Lands, Army Corps of Engineers, and let them know what was coming and got them hooked up as best as I could with the landowners that needed help. Helped landowners get emergency permits. And we went on over 25 site visits to 25 different unique landowners. We had 25 different assistants. We had 11 unique site visits. And I currently have 6 projects that are ongoing. And that final category of collaboration, we play a big role in the Lower Umatilla Basin groundwater management area in Hermiston. We hope that we'll be able to get a POP funding and actually fund another position to start doing work in that area to remove that listing. We also assist NRCS in a lot of their programs. Watershed Field Days is a huge joint effort. A lot of local area committees and other regional restoration teams. So for the use of funds in the fiscal year 18-19 the county provided, I try to use those funds for our largest and highest impact projects. And so that fund split is we use $3,000 this year to purchase additional drone equipment. We just started a drone program and are now flying for farmers or ranchers and in other industries as well. And so I used some of those funds to work on getting some software that was needed. About $4,000 we used to secure a match for a admin assistant position grant. So about $4,000 created another job in the county. And then $2,000 was used to bolster an existing grant, which is that SIA project, which enhanced a current employee. And that final $1,000 was split between 3 of our small grant projects.
What'd you do with the drone?
So the drone, we're currently, right now I'm working on weed ID is a big component and mapping and stuff. So right now the big thing is, or the early this spring it was mapping cheatgrass and wheat fields. And I just pie chart that allocation. But the bottom line is with that $10,000 contribution that we generously received, we leveraged around $123,000 and funded or maintained 2 jobs within the county.
Pretty good return on investment right there.
Economic development, Chief.
And we're always here to serve. We have GIS mapping capabilities, environmental impact project mitigation. We're 100% grant funded, so we live and breathe in the grant world. We're a low-cost research and analysis entity. We're non-regulatory. We have all the natural resource management, and we now have the drone capabilities. So we're exploring that option and are continuing to find new opportunities there. So, but thank you for your support and appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much. Questions? Commissioner Schaefer, Commissioner Elfring?
Nope.
The only question I had was, with your drone, is that able to fly in like an emergency situation, like in a flooding?
Yes. It depends on the airspace. But yeah, during the flooding I did get some footage. The FAA has laws on flying over people, so that's the biggest thing you have to be careful about in emergency situations.
I don't know our emergency manager's in the room, and he flies drones also, but he has limitations because of the law enforcement, and heaven forbid you see something when you're looking for flooding purposes that could be used in a criminal case.
Yeah.
So,
no, so we don't have any sort of that sort of limitation.
Hence my question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Walcott. I'm with the Walla Walla Basin Watershed Council, and we're located at 810 South Main Street, Milton Freewater. We're a nonprofit set up in the 1990s under the authority of the Oregon Plan for Salmon and Watersheds statute. And over the years, we've been working on irrigation efficiency, managed aquifer recharge, fish passage, fish habitat, and water monitoring. I was just going to hit on a few topics, if we could go back, please. The first slide here is we're doing a bi-state stream flow enhancement study, cooperating with Oregon, Washington, the city of Walla Walla, and the irrigation districts, the Umatilla tribes, U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, and our plan is to come up with an improved stream flow in the Walla Walla River to satisfy the requirements of Endangered Species Act protected by the federal government, and also to help satisfy tribal treaty water right demands in the Walla Walla River while maintaining the local economy. We've also been working on several fish passage projects over the last year. We have designs underway for 3 fish passage projects. This one in Cows Creek is going to construction in August. I've got bid tours with construction contractors this afternoon so they can put in bids and we'll be able to make a selection and be able to go to construction. I'm still waiting on a few permits for that, but we should be starting to build in August. Two other fish passage projects we're working on is eliminating the use of two gravel push-up dams on the North Fork Walla Walla River, where the water users are building dams across the river to get water into their gravity-fed ditches, and we're trying to come up with an alternative that would get them away from any potential Endangered Species Act enforcement. We also completed irrigation efficiency project on several orchard blocks in the vicinity of Locust Road, just north of Milton Freewater. This has been our ongoing program of helping our local irrigation community be more efficient with the water that they take out of the river, so we can leave some of that back in the river for fish. And this was done on a cost share basis with Oregon and BPA dollars. We've also, we're wrapping up a study for a Milton Freewater aquifer storage and recovery project to see if we can take water out of the Walla Walla River in the wintertime, have that water treated, sent down wells, and then Milton Freewater could use that water to supplement their basalt wells as they're providing water for the community. And this is an exciting project. Aquifer storage and recovery is happening in a lot of places now across the Northwest, and we'd like to do this to help address the declining basalt aquifer issues that we're having in the Milton Freewater area. Last year, we built 3 managed aquifer recharge sites across the valley floor. We now have 15 managed aquifer recharge sites that are operating in the wintertime, and we're putting about 5,000 acre-feet of water into the ground each winter in cooperation with local landowners and the irrigation districts. And this is helping to address the declining water levels in the shallow gravel aquifer. And we do quite a bit of groundwater monitoring to be able to document the improvements from our recharge program. And we've seen wells either leveling off now and no longer declining as they have been. We've seen declines of 1/2 foot a year over the last 75 years. And over the last 10 years with our recharge program, several of those wells are either flatlining now and maintaining the water levels or actually increasing. We also monitor stream flows in the Walla Walla River and several other tributaries around the valley to document that the irrigation water that we're saving back to the river is in stream and improving stream flows. I know Mackay Creek flooding was a big issue this spring, but we did have flooding issue in the north end of the county, and I'm sure this is a lower priority, but this is a photo of the Walla Walla River Road in April with that high water event, rain on snow. We had water up over the road here. And another photo looking upstream, cones out there, the county had to close the road down, and the Walla Walla River was starting to go over the road instead of under a bridge, just to the left of that photo. And here's from up on the hill looking at the river as it's approaching the road, and there's a house across the way, and it's interesting to note that that's a turn-of-the-century home. Hasn't had flooding issues since the 1964-65 flood event. And here we see the Walla Walla River moving. The bridge is actually over on the right. It's moving away from the bridge and is heading right towards that house and around the house. And then one other topic, if we go back up to that photo, please, Melinda. Thank you. This is an issue where we saw this a few years ago, and we started working on a combination habitat and stream bank protection project. We tried to get Bonneville Power Administration to fund this. They felt there was too much of a stream bank protection component and not enough habitat improvement, and we're continuing to work on seeing if we can get that funded as a way to make sure the water goes under the bridge instead of around it and over the road, and also get some fish habitat improvements at the same time.
Did you have any issues with debris clinging to the bridge and backing up water?
There was more debris piling up into some trees along the river, and the river had gone into a pasture in the same location. A barn had been washed away in high water last winter.
Was here.
And so we were pulling debris out during this event. Luckily, one of the neighbors was able to come up with a backhoe. We got a winch out and got several pieces of that old barn up out of the river, and that was causing some of the backup over the road. Kyle and I have been out, and also Commissioner Schaefer, visiting with the property owners, seeing what options are available, and working with the county roadmaster to see, how we can address this situation and try to improve it over time.
Is that the natural channel in the background?
No, that's a pond right there on the Mabel Harris property.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the river typically would run along the right side of that photo.
It used to, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but didn't the water, it started up against that hillside and it's starting to move further
Correct.
away from that?
Yeah, as you look.
So here's the, I've got a map up
Oh,
here
good.
too. So this is where the river used to be, and this is that bridge that he was talking about, which is to the right there. Well, now the water is moving this direction, so now the flow of the river is here, and that's why it's crossing the road right there, and then it's coming back and around there. So because of the debris, a lot of these trees are falling down, and then that's kind of diverting the water. Then there's gravel bars, and so.
Yeah, and the property owner is working on getting permits to do some emergency channel changing that will hopefully reduce this issue, but I think that might just be a temporary fix, and I'm hoping we can get a long-term solution implemented here. Thanks. And then we also do quite a bit of outreach with the local community, both adults and with the students in the schools. This is an event with all the fifth graders from the Milton Freewater Public Schools getting out on a field day. And then we also have been putting on a summer science camp. Then that occurred last year. We won't be doing that this year. There's been a reduction in watershed education funding at the state level, and so we're not able to do that this year. And then this is just a photo from our annual projects tour that we put on each spring to highlight some of the projects that we've been completing. Yeah. But the $10,000 that we received from Umatilla County, what we received last year helped us leverage $700,000 in BPA state and federal funding, and that demonstration of local support is critical to be able to get grants secured so we can implement projects. Most of that money went towards designing and building projects in the valley like I've just been showing you. Didn't know if you had any questions.
Commissioner Schaefer?
No, I'm pretty well up to speed on everything you're talking about. I did want to draw your attention to, on the new agenda, it's item number 19, years community benefit plan. I think you're on that list.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's.
Just kind of want to draw your attention to that. We haven't made a decision yet, but it's forthcoming.
Yeah, with budget cuts at the state and BPA level, it was we have very little money for overhead, for paying utilities, covering our office cost, and some of our basic staffing. And then we found out we had a roof leak, and so we've been struggling to figure out how we're going to repair that. So hopefully the EURUS funding will come through to help pay for that.
Your projects tour for citizens, I attended one of those a couple of years ago. It was very informative. When's it planned again?
The next one will be next April.
April.
Yeah. Yeah, we had one in April this year. We'll do one again next April.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Brian.
Pleased to see the return on the investment. Item 3, we'll go back into hearing mode, fee ordinance amendment.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the annual update to the Umatilla County Comprehensive Fee Ordinance. There were a few changes requested by the department. Today it's available for the first reading. Primarily to go through the changes relatively quickly, the proposed changes coming from records is not really a fee increase. Several years ago there's a legislative change and impacted some fees, and it just was overlooked that the plat fees did not include the additional fee that was imposed by the legislature in 2017. GIS has wanted to make sure that their review of property line adjustments. If there's more than 3 parcels, they would be charging per tax lot rather than a flat $25 fee. From assessment and taxation for manufactured structure fees, they are being restructured. Not really any additional new fees, but they are trying to make it a little bit clearer what our charges are. The Human Services Department is updating its sliding fee schedule that was implemented because of the changes at the federal level. Public Health is also proposing a restructure of their fees, trying to clarify the amounts that are charged for office visits, lab fees, and injection fees. Primarily, they are now going to a cost plus administrative fee for most of their services rather than a set fee because of the cost fluctuates so much. Public Works is proposing that the fee charged through ODOT for its oversized permits, we want to make sure we've been charging $5, and the state statutes allows a maximum amount, which fluctuates. And so now we want to just make sure that we charge the maximum allowed by state statute, which I believe now is $8.50 rather than the $5 currently. And the surveyor is also requesting to update his review fees for subdivision plats and replats from $175 to $200, plus the per lot fees also being proposed to increase. And most of these fees are based on increase in costs for providing the services.
So this is just the first reading, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We went ahead and signed it, but we also understand it's the first reading. Question?
No, that was my question.
Commissioner Alfred?
No.
We need to set a second hearing.
Right.
July 3rd, isn't it?
Hearing.
Is that-
July 3rd, is that?
That's the proposed second reading, but you might want to, since we're in public hearing mode, check if there are any.
Oh, sorry, yes. Any comments from the public? Okay. Then we'll go out of hearing mode and into action mode.
Move we set the second hearing for the second,
The next board meeting is July 3rd.
July 3rd.
Is that a motion? for
Yes.
that? Oh, second, sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. All right, item 4, Planning Commission appointments.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Walder, Planning Director. We are requesting your approval to appoint a new member to our Planning Commission. One of our members decided they did not want to be reappointed for another term. And so the person that Commissioner Elfring and I interviewed is Lyle Smith. He's from Umatilla. He also brings he has served on a planning commission with the city before and is well versed in issues around environment and planning. So we felt like he was the right candidate for this position. He also lives in the west part of the county, which we try to maintain consistency in our geographic representation of who we have serving on the committee.
Do we
So with that,
do we
are there any questions?
routinely send thank you notes to retirees?
We, in the past, at our planning commission hearings, when we have someone who's dedicated several years, we will commonly print out a certificate for them and make a presentation at the planning commission hearing.
Nice. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I move adoption of order BCC 2019-039.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 5, road naming.
Good morning, Commissioners. Elizabeth Ridley, Planner. Today we are seeking approval for a road name, Pivot Lane. Under county ordinance, when an access easement serves 3 or more parcels, it is to be named. 2 land divisions were completed in 2009 and 2018, resulting in 5 tax lots served by this one easement. It is off Agnew Road, and the applicant has proposed the name of Pivot Lane. And so today we're just seeking approval for that.
Mr. Chair, I move we adopt RD number 2019-13.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank
It
you.
wasn't that they just didn't like a name, it's just that it didn't have a name, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We made that too easy.
See the agenda?
Item 6, rare intern.
Good morning again, Bob Walder, Planning Director. For your consideration this morning, we are seeking your support and commitment for the public work, or the planning department and emergency management to bring on a RARE intern for the 2019-2020 year. RARE stands for Resource Assistance for Rural Environments, and we would bring this RARE student on. It's a partnership between AmeriCorps and University of Oregon, and they place interns in rural communities like ours. You might know several cities in the recent years have had RARE interns and had a lot of success with those, and the county has even had one or two in the past. But what we're looking for them to do is to assist with an update to our natural hazards mitigation plan, our emergency operations plan, and the upcoming, or the complete count committee for the upcoming 2020 census. The biggest project they'll be working on, with some oversight from Michael Howard from University of Oregon, will be this update to our natural hazard mitigation plan. It was last updated in 2014, and it's a requirement of FEMA if you want to maintain eligibility for natural hazard mitigation planning dollars. This plan has to be updated every 5 years. So that is the main project they'd be working on, along with those other two that we've identified, and any other special projects that come out throughout the year. They can also be involved in that. I put together a budget estimate, and the full cost for a RARE intern is $23,500. That's the cost incurred by the local sponsor. I've also accounted for some other expenses such as fuel and some mentoring help from Michael Howard at University of Oregon. We applied for a grant from Ford Family Foundation in the amount of $10,000, and we won't find out about that until the placement's been made, but we're fairly confident that we have a good shot at least getting part of that money. And then the other thing we plan to do is go to each of the cities in the county and see if they would be willing to participate in this plan. And if they are, if they do agree to participate, they would then be eligible to apply for and receive natural hazard dollars from FEMA for any projects they may have. We think this is pretty timely given the flooding that occurred this spring, that some of these cities may be interested in participating that don't have a plan currently. So our deadline was July 1st to notify RARE that we are committed to sponsoring them, and so that's what we're seeking today, is that commitment from the county. Any questions?
Are there any other plans that are sitting at the side of the desk that haven't been addressed?
Yes, so Tom Roberts, Emergency Manager, we had a discussion as well in utilizing the RARE intern for the completion of the update to the emergency operations plan for the county. So that was one of the options that we brought to the table as another potential workload. Both of these plans are significant in scope and size. They're really heavy lifts, and so it gives us the opportunity to allow for an intern to come into to our county and assist us with that heavy lift, so that we're not taking it on solely by ourselves. And so essentially, again, as Bob said, the most important one being the natural hazard mitigation plan, so that we can get some return on investment through hazard mitigation dollars, either post incident or through pre-planned hazard mitigation projects, such as if we were to work with Kyle and the Walla Walla folks as well on the Walla Walla River as an example. We could look at that as a potential project. But in order to qualify for those funds, the natural hazard mitigation program, we have to have a natural hazard mitigation plan in place. So
These plans come up and have to be reviewed and updated periodically.
that's correct.
Is there a plan in process to upgrade and update these plans. We may not be able to get a rare intern every time we need to do this.
Exactly, and essentially, most of these plans fall in my lap, and we deal with them as they come along. Since I come on board 4 years ago, I've been trying to put them on a cycle, most of them on a 5-year cycle. An example of such was the ambulance service area plan when we took a look at that and moved it from a 3-year cycle to a 5-year cycle to match up with everything else, so it would fall within that planning cycle. So we're not essentially doing all of these heavy lifts in 1 year. But they are all being addressed as they come up. But I think that the rare student capability is one that's a win-win, both for the county as well as for the University of Oregon and the rare program.
So you've worked with this program before?
I have not personally worked with them directly, but I know of individuals that have worked within rare, and they've had a lot of good experience come out of the program and going into their careers. And while I was not a rare student per se, one of the things in order for me to obtain my degree was that I had to take on a project, and I took on a planning project with the City of Oregon and assisted their wastewater treatment facility in developing their emergency response planning capabilities. And so that was in itself my project. It took several months, but I can say undoubtedly that was an experience that helped get me to where I'm at today, because I'm the type of person that learns from doing. And this gives these individuals a chance to come in here and gain some valuable work experience, while at the same time gives us a little bit of return on the investment bringing them in. And it's a less expensive way than hiring somebody to do it.
The rare candidates or the rare students, interns, are graduate students at University of Oregon.
Yeah.
And may even be potential employees of Umatilla County.
Yeah, that's correct. Most of them, this is kind of their first, I guess, career experience out of college, and they take it very seriously, and they have a lot of expectations out of the RARE program, and they have a high success rate of actually grooming these people, and they go on to get other jobs at their place of employment because they have a good reputation of providing quality employees.
I think the city of Hermiston has one now, and the city of Pendleton has, and I don't always want to go this direction in order to get the work done, but I understand we need to get the work done and the consequences of not getting it done, so I'd accept a motion.
I would so move approval.
Second.
In favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Tillamook County Mutual Aid.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Tom Roberts, Umatilla County Emergency Manager. If you recall, in April, when we had the flood event, we enacted our sister county initiative for one of the first times since we entered into it, and Gordon McCraw, my counterpart from Tillamook County, came here and provided me with some assistance in all the matters that needed to occur during the recovery, because Tillamook County, as you well know, experiences flooding a lot more than Umatilla County. So while he was here, we had a conversation about our sister county initiative, about where we want to see that go, and we've had these conversations in the past. Former Commissioner Givens was really big on trying to see us expand this program beyond just the scope of road department assistance. And so what we went ahead and did is we went back and we continued these talks after the fact, and Gordon put in front of his commissioners in Tillamook County a proposal to expand that program from their perspective to include all divisions, all departments, so that in the event of a Cascadia natural or subduction zone earthquake or something of significance that that exceeds their capacity, we already have in place the capabilities and the agreements that are required by the state to provide that level of assistance. And so what I'm proposing to you today is to reciprocate that, so that we are in the same boat the other direction, that we are offering up to them the needs that they have.
We already have an agreement in place. How does this differ from what's already in place?
The agreement that was in place was specific to the road department and emergency management, and this would expand it to all divisions, all departments. So for instance, if they had something happen with a pandemic, which very easily could have happened recently, if they had needed assistance from public health, they could have reached out through the Oregon Office of Emergency Management and said, we would like to have a communicable disease nurse from Umatilla County provide us with assistance, and that would be through the ORCA program. The ORCA program is basically the means of requesting emergency assistance through Oregon Office of Emergency Management. Within ORCA, then they would, Oregon Office of Emergency Management would initially reach out to everybody and say who can provide this level of assistance to Tillamook County. If another county came in and said we can do it, they would then start working on the agreements that may not be in place. And what we're doing by through this Sister County initiative is we already have all those agreements in place ahead of time, so that they could reach out to us initially, and we could then become the first group of individuals.
So it just broadens the...
Absolutely. It just puts the structure in place ahead of everything, so that we're ready to respond to each other's assistance. So Gordon came and assisted us with floods in the 2017-2018 fire season. While Tillamook County was not impacted, it became very obvious to him that being a coastal community, they are not exempt from wildfires. We get a lot of wildfire response experience, so I anticipate one of these days they're probably going to have a fire, and we're going to be going the other way and assisting them with that, the way we would here. So that's essentially what we're doing, is we're just expanding upon and updating the agreements that were already in place.
This was originally a major effort on behalf of AOC. I think perhaps Umatilla and Tillamook have taken it as far as any two counties in the state. Some of the others haven't gone this far, but I think it's a magnificent program. I don't think we understand the magnitude of what we might be called upon to do in the event of a major catastrophe, which is more likely to happen in Tillamook than here. As a part-time resident, I'm clearly aware of what could happen there. Mm-hmm. To the county, and our involvement would not be temporary. It would be over a period of months, if not years. So even though some of the other counties haven't become quite this sophisticated, I think this is really a wonderful step.
I think it's important to note, too, Commissioners, that this is a program that's been watched really closely over the past few years by the state. It was even mentioned during the election season by Governor Brown, the cooperative agreement between Umatilla and Tillamook counties in the Sister County initiative, and Umatilla and Tillamook County employees, Tom Fellows from Umatilla County, were awarded by the Oregon Emergency Management Association for their part in this program. So it has a lot of eyes on it, and I think it has some potential to grow beyond Umatilla and Tillamook counties. It's going to take for us to be able to be the leaders and to show that there is some success and some reward.
Right. Mr. Chair, I move we adopt BCC 2019-054.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Gentlemen. Item 9, burn ban, potential burn ban.
Gina Miller is not in the office this week, and so this is coming at the request of a commissioner that we implement a burn ban. Normally, we wait until conditions really deteriorate and it's imminent that we adopt one. This year, the proposal is just go ahead and adopt it now and make it effective July 1, so that way, as of July 1, any non-agricultural burning within the county jurisdiction would be prohibited.
Being said, Commissioner, I am all in favor of this. From my previous career, this time of year, we hate this time of year because we know fires are coming left and right, and so that's why I brought this forward. So.
Yeah, I still don't know if I agree with you, but I'm glad you're taking responsibility for doing it.
Move approval of Order BCC 2019-052.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Item number 9, school-based health renovation, Pendleton High School.
Good morning. I'm Alicia Southwick, Deputy Director at UCO Health, and we have 2 proposals before you today for putting out for a request for proposal for renovating our school-based health centers that are at Pendleton High School and Sunridge Middle School. We were awarded a HRSA grant for doing these activities, and now we're looking at getting that work put into place.
Are items 9 and 10 together?
They can be,
Okay.
but it will be established as 2 separate projects.
So do we have 2 separate motions or 2 separate?
2 separate, yes. Everything will be separated.
All right.
So it's even a potential 2 contracts.
And it's 2 separate projects with HRSA as well, so that's why we're keeping them separate.
Okay. All right. So we're looking at Pendleton High School right now.
These are all grant funded.
Yes.
I'm good, and I'm ready to run.
I move
Oh, somebody's
authorization.
going to have to make a motion before we do.
Mr. Chair, I move authorization of request for proposals for renovation of the school-based health center at Pendleton High School.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we'll go to Sunridge Middle School.
Chair, I move authorization of the request for proposals for renovation to a school-based health center at Sunridge Middle School.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Item number 11, position reclassification Veterans Office.
Okay, the department, due to vacations and other emergencies, is not here. I don't know if HR wants to do it or...
Good morning, Jennifer Blake, Human Resources Director. Before you, Amy Ashton-Williams from the Human Services Department is requesting a reclassification of one of her Veteran Services positions to have a newly appointed or created position for Veteran Service Officer Supervisor. This would allow that position to have more access into the Veteran Services the computer system, which she doesn't have authorization to do at this time. So this new supervisor would actually be a certified veteran service officer and would have access to that, helping with more quality control as well as just information access.
So without being a VSO, there's certain things that Amy doesn't have access to is the,
That's my understanding, yes.
yeah,
And we've
that's
talked about this for a while.
right. I make a motion that we approve this position.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer, for introducing the technology that enables us to get coffee mid-meeting. Something that was beyond Commissioner Elfring and myself.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Okay. Item 12, position reclassification DD.
Good morning. Kim Weisenflue, Program Manager for the Community Developmental Disabilities Program. I'm here requesting a reclassification for one of the positions that we currently have. We had a part-time service coordinator who resigned, so I'd like to reclass that position to a part-time program specialist. The service coordinator position was left. It's just a cleanup situation. I had a service coordinator who had some case management responsibilities and then did licensing and certification of foster homes. The licensing and certification of foster homes is actually a program specialist position, and so I'd like to just correct that inconsistency and move it back to a program specialist.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Kim, don't leave. I did not add it as a additional agenda item due to the length of the agenda, but I did want at some point during the meeting to make a public record of your funding appeal so that the commissioners can be responsive in support of your need for funding. So you can do that now.
The Association of Counties Mental Health Program may be reaching out to Umatilla County commissioners and commissioners all over the state asking for support in requesting additional funding from the state government. Currently, we are funded on a workload model, and I'm just going to give a basic example. So the workload model will say how many staff we need to do the job that we are contracted to do. Example, 100, which is way bigger than Umatilla County. Last year, last biennium, we were cut from getting 100% of that to 88%. So if they said 100, we got 88 staff. This year, they're taking that down to 81.9%, so say 82. So again, we're cut again, and we continue to get unfunded mandates such as the organ needs assessment, direct referral contacts. They absorb those into the workload model and then cut us. So
Those were put into your budget request this year, but it was cut back again. So that if it continues to fly this way, there would be no way to add those positions.
we would add those positions at the expense. We have to add those positions because we have to do that work, but what ends up happening is it's at the expense of getting case service coordinators to do case management, which then leads, as you guys saw the draft letter, which then leads to potential abuse allegations, us not being able to monitor appropriately. It's setting up a really scary situation.
Takes money out of the wrong pocket.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to publicly acknowledge that so that the commissioners would have discussed the matter. So when you appeal to Commissioner Schaefer, who I believe is your liaison, to lead that charge.
I actually have the letter in front of me.
Well, there you are. Just another introduction of technology.
There it is.
All right, so thanks.
What is that black box over there?
I think
It's not a tablet and chisel.
laptop or a tablet.
It's not paper?
It's not a stone tablet, no.
Something. Okay,
I like my stone
item
tablet.
13, sale of property. I assume you recorded that in the minutes, Melinda. We conversed on that.
About the stone tablet?
Yeah, no.
Yes, I got it.
A stone tablet for Commissioner Elfring.
Okay,
This is coming before the board for approval of sale of property. This is property that was foreclosed on for delinquent property taxes. As is mandated by state statute, it was available at auction. 7 properties did not sell, and so we're open for written bids. We accept written bids for 30 days, and after that period of time, we open them. And based on that, their recommendation is to accept the highest bids on each one of these. There are 7 different parcels requiring 7 different orders. If you want to, we can go down by each one. The first one is a house in Athena, and received a bid on that of $6,100. The second one is the Meacham property. There were 2 properties in Meacham. One was a 40-acre parcel, and one was a 5-acre parcel. And the 40-acre parcel have a bid submitted of $48,001 on it. There was more than one bid, but that's the highest bid. And then the 5-acre parcel did have one submitted for $10,999. There were 3 properties left in Pendleton that did not sell, and so there was one. We had several bids on a Pendleton lot unimproved for $1,650. 2 houses in Pendleton, one for $12,000 that's located on 7th Street. It's at the very top, and it's suitable for demolition probably. And there's some property on 4th Street that was fairly sizable, and we did get several bids on this one. The highest one was $40,000. And then a house in Stanfield also received several bids, and the highest bid on that one was $12,000.
Mr. Chair, I move we adopt BCC 2019-040.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Move approval of BCC 2019-041.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Move approval for BCC 2019-042.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Move approval of BCC 2019-043.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Move approval for BCC 2019-044.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Move approval of BCC 2019-045.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Move approval for BCC 2019-046.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Property auction, item 14.
Okay, and this is somewhat limited, related to the last item. The two properties did not receive any bid. We are proposing to have another second auction for this year and try to get those two properties sold. They will be listed at their 15% value of their previous one. And along with those two properties, we have two other parcels that are available for sale. These were the ones that we tried to sell back to the record owner, but that sale never was able to be closed. So those also will be on the auction, and this proposed auction date is July 30.
Mr. Chair, move adoption of order TX 2019-02.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item number 15, purchase of vehicle. Morning, Digna.
Good morning, Digna Moreno with Umatilla County Juvenile Division Supervisor. And before you, Commissioners, is a request for proposal for a new mid-size car to replace one of our current, or part of our fleet. This was already been, a request was sent to the Fleet Management Committee and it was approved.
One thing, I just wanted to point out that this was before that approval was made prior to the Enterprise Fleet Management Program being signed. I just wanted to point that out because that was a question I had on that vehicle. So,
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
second.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 16, property liability insurance.
It is time for renewal for the Umatilla County Property and Liability Insurance. They're, as usual, the only company that provides the service in Oregon is City County Insurance Services, and it is recommended that we renew that policy with CIS.
As a member of that board, do I have to
Recuse
have a
yourself.
conflict?
I think you just declare that you have a potential, and
I do have potential as a board member of CIS.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item number 17, Pendleton Pilot Rock Enterprise Zone.
Good morning. Gail Nelson, Economic Development and Tourism Coordinator. Before you is an approval to renew the Pendleton Pilot Rock Enterprise Zone. We've had this zone since 1998, so they renew every 10 years. We'll be renewing both Pilot Rock and Pendleton have approved at their city council. The only change that we have in this round is Pendleton would like to add in the hotel motel option, and so that has been approved by both cities. Other than that, the boundary and everything stays the same, and the county is a co-sponsor on this, is what they are looking
You
for.
said co-sponsor?
Co-sponsor, yes.
I don't think we took action on that issue, but I assume this is consistent with our desire to always be a co-sponsor. Is that not correct?
It is.
Okay.
And the county has been a co-sponsor of this one in the past.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Chair, I move adoption of BCC 2019-050.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 18, financial accounts update.
Are you going to play rock, paper, scissors? Or,
Flip a coin. Flip a coin. It's appropriate. Flipping a coin would be appropriate.
Yeah.
Simonis, Assistant Director of Budget and Finance. What is before you today is a required update and review of several county funds that are required by ORS to be reviewed by the Board of Commissioners at least every 10 years to make sure that they're still a necessary and fund and being used for the purpose that was they originally used. So we went through all of the existing funds that are currently being used in Umatilla County and reviewed those at the department level, and what you have before you is a synopsis of those and a request that you approve the continuation of those that are required by ORS to be reviewed, and also just an overview of all of our existing funds and the purpose that they are used for within the county budgeting process.
So Marie, in layman's terms, this is making sure the silos are intact and are in good repair.
Absolutely.
I move adoption order BCC 2019-049.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 19, Eurus Community Benefit Plan grants.
Do you want me to do this one? So I met with the Eurus committee, I guess it was June 12th, and yeah. So anyways, we had a total of 14 grant applications that we reviewed, and the successful ones are listed for the 12, including the new roof that we heard about from Brian Wolcott a little bit ago. One of my favorite ones was the Food Insecurities Project. I believe it was like number 5, I think. Or nope. It's something different. There it is, number 6. It's Milton Fruita Kiwanis Foundation. It's for kids for the summertime to have food to take home with them, and that was a $5,000 ask. So there's the Mac High shop got some money, as did the Milton Fruita Downtown Alliance. But that was the list that was prepared.
I think it's really commendable that Eurus continues to put funding into this program, even though it's beyond their
The commitment has been met.
You can go back, Melinda.
The commitment has been met, and this was something that they have done because they saw the need for the communities and the benefits that the communities are receiving from it. So
that's really commendable.
Yeah.
Thank you for the restrooms at the junior show.
Yeah, those were definitely a need for sure.
Yes. So, do you want to make the motion?
So moved.
Second.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty. Eastern Oregon Counties Association. Are you going to do that one too, Commissioner?
I can do that one as well. As you know, previously, Umatilla County has pulled out of the Eastern Oregon County Association. The biggest reason for that would be the monies that were for PILT payments, but we kind of felt that PILT was already being chased really hard by our senators and congressmen, as well as AOC. So it was pretty redundant to spend that much money to go into that. But now that that's passed, there's more state issues at play that we as a county think that are important. Not the least of those is NAWA, a water project, wolf issues, wildlife issues, cap and trade, and the list goes on. And the second page of that has that list, including legislative actions, and this could even go towards getting a legislator or a lobbyist at the state level to go after some of these issues that are important to us in Umatilla County. And we're stronger together than we are individual counties. So when you get east of the Cascades, it's kind of they kind of forget about us. But it's hard to forget about us when you're standing there in a unified front. So I actually wanted to go back into that, and so I would move that we go back into the Eastern Oregon County Association.
And the authorization is for $10,000 dues?
Yes.
Yes, I would second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I do appreciate the fact that they have warmly accepted our list of recommended topics.
Yes.
Agreed. And the heavy lift on that one is Mark Owens from Harney County.
Yeah, I was present at that legislative hearing when he demonstrated that. That was pretty important.
Yeah, Mark's a big ally, so.
That was very useful. Okay, item 21, we're going back into hearing mode to consider supplemental budgets.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Paul, CFO, Umatilla County. This morning there are 3 supplemental budgets to consider. I will read you a brief summary. General Fund, General County, Budget Order 2019-88 requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in beginning cash of $600,000, an increase in personnel services of $205,000, an increase in materials and services of $45,000, and an increase in transfers out of $100,000, and an increase in contingency of $50,000. Next, Budget Order 2019-89, Human Services Peer Program, requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in local revenue of $5,000 and an increase in materials and services of $5,000. And third, Budget Order 2019-92, Public Health School-Based Health Center, requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in state revenue of $28,800, an increase in personnel services of $8,000, and an increase in materials and services of $20,800. You have any questions, sir?
Questions from the audience? Audience?
True to form.
We'll go back out of hearing mode. Questions from the commissioners?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of Budget Order 2019-88.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Aye, sorry. Mr. Chair, move approval for 2019-89.
Second.
Favor say aye.
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 Move approval of Budget Order 2019-92.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 22.
Okay. We also have 10 transfers of appropriation scheduled for consideration today. Summary of those, Budget Order 2019-84, General Fund Support Enforcement, requires a transfer of appropriations of an increase of materials and services of $5,000 and a decrease in contingency of $5,000.
Still in hearing mode, or are we?
No.
No, we're out of hearing mode.
Budget Order 2019-85, General Fund Victim Witness Program, requires a transfer of appropriations to increase materials and services by $10,000 and decrease contingency by $10,000. Budget Order 2019-86, General Fund Records and Archives, requires a transfer of appropriations to increase materials and services by $3,000 and decrease contingency by $3,000. Budget Order 2019-87, Budget Order General Fund Veteran Services, requires a transfer of appropriations to increase materials and services of $10,000 and decrease contingency of $10,000. Budget Order 2019-20, Human Services, Alcohol, Drug, and Gambling Services, requires a transfer of appropriations, requires an increase in personnel services of $20,000 and a decrease in contingency of $20,000.
Did I hear that budget order right? Did I hear you say 2019-20, or was that 90? Oh, for some reason I heard 20. Okay.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that. I'm just double checking.
It's okay. Budget Order 2019-91, Sheriff's Office Marine Patrol, requires a transfer of appropriations, decrease in personnel services of $5,000 and an increase in materials and services of $5,000. Budget Order 2019-93, Victim Witness Program, requires a transfer of appropriation to increase materials and services by $5,000 and decrease contingency by $5,000. Budget Order 2019-94, Court Security Program, requires a transfer of appropriations to increase personnel services by $5,000 and decrease materials and services by $5,000. Budget Order 2019-95, Public Works, requires a transfer of appropriations, increased capital outlay of $60,000, and a decrease in contingency of $60,000. And Budget Order 2019-96, General Fund Jail, requires a transfer of appropriations, increase materials and services $100,000, and decrease contingency $100,000.
Obviously, by the calendar, this will be the last of the budget adjustments for the year.
Yes, and several of those are preemptive. Not having this last opportunity to transfer, there were several programs that were very, very close to the limit, and we have a credit card statement of roughly $60,000 to post. It's going to affect some of those accounts, so we just wanted to be sure we were within budgetary limits.
Mr. Chair, I move approval, Budget Order 2019-84.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Move approval for 2019-85.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Move approval, Budget Order 2019-86.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Move approval for Budget Order 2019-087.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Move approval, Budget Order 2019-90.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Move approval for Budget Order 2019-91.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Move approval, Budget Order 2019-93.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Move approval Budget Order 2019-94.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Move approval of Budget Order 2019-95.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Move approval Budget Order 2019-96.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Did you get all that, Melinda?
Did we get a vote before we had a motion?
No. John and I are nearly tied twice. It was tight.
It's a good thing Kathy brought in coffee.
All right. Item number 23, Pendleton Convention Center payable.
This is payable before the board because of the dollar amount. It is for the payment to Pendleton Convention Center for $5,713.74. It relates to the expenses for the Workforce Summit.
Mr. Chair, I move approval for payment.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
A
All right,
spectacular event, by the way.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it was. Item number 24, board meeting schedule.
This is coming before the board for approval for the resetting of two board meetings. Until the end of the calendar year, there are two times that there are planned lack of quorums. One is for the meeting date of July 17. Right, July 17th?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, I'm looking at an old one. Okay, July 17th, and instead would be a July 24th meeting. And then also the November 20th one has a lack of quorum, and the proposal is the following Tuesday, November 26th.
And just for clarification, August 7th, that's going to be in Hermiston, is that correct? It will not be here?
At the Hansel Building.
Yeah.
Stafford Hansel
That's one.
Government Center, yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that one.
During the fair. Also, item number 20 hasn't been corrected. I mean, no, for the record.
November
on the
20th.
Of November. Okay?
Do we need to make a motion on that? Nope.
Oh, you mean for resetting?
Yeah.
Yes.
So moved.
Yeah, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. Item number 25, Workforce Development Board. Do you want me to make that? If you will give me that, Commissioner Elfring, I'll speak to it.
Speak eloquently, I like it.
This is a resolution relative to our membership in the Eastern Oregon Workforce Board. We've talked about this before on several occasions. We've had considerable frustration and difficulty with this particular alignment. We didn't want to be in this alignment to start with. We were forced into it. We've tried in many ways to make it work. We have appointed people to that board. They have been frustrated and dropped off the board. We cover more than this alignment covers more than a third of the state of Oregon, all the way from the Washington border to the Nevada border. Supposedly by intent and design, which council has shared with me, workforce investment regions are designed to look somewhat homogeneous in terms of the kind of jobs, economy, workforce, etc., that they have. We bear little resemblance to McDermott, Nevada, in my estimation, or McNervin, Oregon, I guess, of the southern border, and quite a bit of area in between. So we have been in conversation with Morrow County. Their board is meeting this morning, and they also are considering, and I'm certain will pass, a companion resolution asking to join with Umatilla County in forming a separate Eastern Oregon Workforce Board region that consists of Umatilla County and Morrow County. And in fact, they've gone so far as agreeing to host the offices of that organization at the Port of Morrow, which I personally don't have any problem with. So I would move we adopt 2019-053.
I would add further to it that this really creates a zone that is a workforce board that is really focused on the needs that we have and that Morrow County has, which are really a lot different from Union County, even Union County across the hill. I really would hope that this recommendation to the governor is accepted, and I would second your motion.
Thank you, because I think it's going to be quite a dynamic operation if we get there. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. City of Pendleton grant application support.
Look at that. I see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Dynamic leadership is what you see.
Am I doing this one? Who's?
Are you presenting this? Or?
I don't know.
This is
I just saw a couple
I can
people
do
looking
it.
at
You want me
me.
to do it? Okay. We've talked several times about exit 209. It's probably one of the, well, according to ODOT, it's one of the most congested intersections in the state, certainly in our area. In some ways, it should never have been permitted to be created in the manner it is. I think that's the genesis of the approach now by the city of Pendleton relative to trying to get federal support, help. It's a $32 million project to deal with exit 209. We've tried a variety of other ways. They haven't worked. And we passed a resolution, I believe, in 2017 in support of this project, and they've asked for an updated resolution they've asked either for a letter of support or an updated resolution. I think the resolution is a more effective means of indicating our support for the project, and so I'm hoping that we can adopt Order BCC 2019-051 in support of this project. It's a huge problem.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Well then, we are at the bottom of our agenda and into random comments from the commissioners.
I am good.
I would like to raise either for here or conversation at our next BOC staff meeting, which I believe is July 1st. Is that correct?
It'll be the first, yes.
Because we're not meeting next week, so it'll be July 1st.
Second's Tuesday, so. yeah.
I'd like to have us have a follow-up conversation regarding Ukiah and our visit to Ukiah. I do know that the sheriff's office initiative was communicated to the sheriff's office, because I've heard that from some sergeants and others, relative to not just going to Ukiah and driving through town, but making certain.
Stopping by and saying hello.
There's not that many places you have to do it, but making sure they stop and make contact with the city of Ukiah that they are in fact present. But we also, I think and in our discussion, would like to get an update on the flooding and where we are on mitigation of Camas Creek, if anywhere. Okay. So maybe Tom might want to come to that.
Fellows?
Yeah.
I'm sure he would love to come.
Yeah, well, there's some still problems with Camas Creek and the flooding and those issues. And also, we'll probably invite Bob to come in, because the other question they raised was code enforcement and the problems they're having with code enforcement.
There has been discussion with that.
So, did I miss anything, Bill?
Nope.
Okay.
I think you did good.
Have that on our agenda for the 1st. Anything from you, Commissioner Alfring?
No, nothing further.
All right, we'll adjourn.